Pyrostories. So here's one of the first big displays we ever did, and by we I mean sort of me and my friends who became the big fireworks shop. So this predates training, this predates insurance. This is when we were effectively kids. Well, we were legal. We had our house. I was probably 22, 23. We'd just got to the point where we could afford some bigger fireworks, and I'd like to say we knew what we were doing. I was trying to recreate Disneyland, and I had the ability to set fireworks off in my back garden. So I really was trying to run before I could walk. But you'll only learn to do the big stuff by making mistakes or by going on training courses. But the people who run the training courses tell you about the mistakes that have been made. It's only through mistakes that we can improve. So this story, we didn't break the law in any way, shape or form. It's just what happened taught us some important lessons. I had a very big field at the back of the house we used to live in. The guy who owned the field had given us permission to set fireworks off, so it was perfectly legal, perfectly acceptable. We had about 200 people, we had PA system, we had all the fireworks, I had all the music sorted, I had a firing list, and marked all the cakes out, everything was waterproofed, it was all ready to go. I'd made 2 or 3 critical errors. One of them was that I'd given everyone 2 port fires, but the display lasted 10 minutes and the port fires went out after 2 minutes. So we had 4 minutes worth of lighting. So within 4 minutes of starting to fire the display, everyone's walking over to me. There's no fireworks going off and no one's got any way of lighting anything. Has anyone got a lighter? Has anyone got a lighter? Make sure you've got enough port fires if you're hand firing. But we got to the end of that display. The finale was a row. We had, I think we had about 10 launch tubes for rockets, and I only had 10 tubes. I could have done with 50, but I only had 10. And I had rows and rows and rows and rows of rockets. And the idea was we staked out, or we put rows of rockets in the ground behind the tubes. And I said to the guy lighting the rockets, put the rockets into the tube, reload the tubes, then light them. And every time I shout rockets, just walk along, fire 5 rockets, and then put the next 5 in, walk along, fire those. And me being me, that explanation probably took 15 seconds in a dark field in a hurry. And I know the person that I was explaining it to was going, yeah. I had no idea what I meant. My mistake, mea culpa. We learn from our mistakes. So every time I shouted rockets, there just seemed to be explosions going off on the ground. But we've got cakes going off over here and Roman candles and all fountains. It was organised chaos, but it was reasonably safe. We were all wearing full safety gear, PPE, boots, glasses, gloves, hard hats. So we were all safe, and we had about 700 meters of space. So the crowd were perfectly safe. It might not have passed HSE inspection today, but we are going back, I don't know, almost 30 years. So every time I shouted for rockets, we just had explosions on the ground, and I didn't really know what was going on. But I was so busy doing other things and listening to the music and trying to remember the firing area that it didn't seem to matter. Rockets! And then 7 seconds later, the explosions here and all the rest of it. And the reason was the rockets weren't being reloaded into the tubes, they were being lit, still stuck in the ground. And it only occurred to me what was going on when we got to the finale, and the finale was 5 big Black Cat Whopper rockets, 200 gram, massive bursting things. Got to the finale and I shouted, rockets! And I looked at what was going on and I realised instantly, and by this point we got to the back of the lines of cake, so I was quite close to the rockets, so I could see exactly what was going on. And these 5 Black Cat Whopper rockets are stuck firmly into damp ground, and they've all just been lit. And all I could say was, run! And we all ran away because we saw what was happening. And as soon as the rocket motors took off, the rockets stayed in the ground. Now, the burst radius on a big rocket can be anything up to, I'd imagine 50, 60 meters. There's a calculation system we could employ, but you are not outrunning the burst radius of a massive rocket. So as soon as the motors engaged, we all just dived on the ground. And I'll never forget, as long as I live, the image. It was like being in the Millennium Falcon going backwards, because we had stars just flying past us as they went off. These 5 rockets go bang, 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 bang. It was just stars flying past as I'm diving over. So it's not a mistake you want to make. Could have been really messy. Thankfully, we all had the right protective gear on, and we learnt in the future, always make sure that the person lighting rockets puts the rockets in the tubes. Has to be said that having done the display, the feedback from the audience was it was the most incredible finale that they'd ever seen. And so the following year, we did exactly the same thing, but we did it intentionally. We lengthened the fuses, so we had about 15 seconds, lit them and sprinted. That was a hell of a finale. Unfortunately, I don't have it on video, and obviously that's not something I would do now, and not something that we could recommend anyone does. That would be inappropriate use of fireworks and its fuse modification. However, it happened that long ago, and it was before I became the person I am now, before insurance and before the business, so it's not going to stand up in court, but it's a hell of an effect. Don't do it intentionally, but just on that time, that really was something else, and we got away with quite a serious mistake. We know never to do that again. These days, we just press buttons on an electric firing system, and so we could do exactly that, and it'd look brilliant. And I've seen special effects guys do the same thing, and we've used similar effects. If you're a large enough distance away, and you have the insurance and you have the expertise, that's the kind of thing you can do. Don't do it with retail fireworks, and particularly don't do it in a wet field when you're wearing wellies and you're trying to run away. Never a good thing. So, just another one of those pyro stories. Catch you later. Bye bye.